humanity's relationship with alcohol did not begin with a deliberate act of invention. It started by accident. Picture our distant ancestors foraging for sustenance in a world teeming with wild fruits and grains. A forgotten cache of berries, left in a primitive container, would have been visited by airborne yeasts. These microscopic organisms feasted on the natural sugars, transforming them into a fizzy, pungent liquid. The first person to bravely taste this concoction experienced something entirely new, a warming sensation, a lightened mood, and a shift in perception. This was the serendipitous discovery of fermentation, the simple, natural process that gives us beer, wine, and cider. This chance encounter laid the foundation for one of the most enduring and complex human traditions. This newfound elixir quickly became more than just an intoxicating drink. In early civilizations, it was woven into the very fabric of society, religion, and daily life. In ancient China, around 7000 BCE, villagers were already fermenting a mixed beverage from rice, honey, and fruit. It was a drink reserved for rituals and the elite, a sacred substance connecting the mortal world to the divine. In Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, beer was a staple of the diet. It was considered a gift from the gods, a form of payment for laborers building the Great Pyramids and ziggurats, and a fundamental component of their economy. Beer was not just a drink, it was liquid bread, a source of vital nutrients and calories. Further west, in ancient Egypt, the story was much the same. Beer was central to their culture, a daily ration for everyone from the pharaoh to the humble worker. They believed the god Osiris had taught them the art of brewing. Detailed recipes and brewing scenes are immortalized in tomb paintings and hieroglyphic texts, showcasing its importance. Meanwhile, in the Mediterranean, the Greeks and Romans cultivated a deep appreciation for wine. For them, wine was a marker of civilization itself. They drank it diluted with water at symposia, philosophical gatherings where conversation and ideas flowed as freely as the drink. It was the domain of Dionysus, or Bacchus, the god of wine, revelry, and ecstatic freedom. Across these diverse cultures, a common thread emerges. Alcohol was rarely just for intoxication. It was a social lubricant, a religious sacrament, a form of currency, and a symbol of cultural identity. It was safer to drink than water, which was often contaminated with pathogens. Its preservative qualities made it valuable, and its mind-altering effects gave it a mystical aura, linking it inextricably to gods, spirits, and the afterlife. The consumption of alcohol was a structured and meaningful activity, governed by rituals and social norms. This ancient legacy established alcohol's dual role as both a practical commodity and a powerful cultural symbol, a duality that continues to define its place in the world today. For millennia, humanity's experience with alcohol was limited to the products of simple fermentation. Beer and wine rarely exceeded 15% alcohol content. This changed dramatically with a revolutionary technological innovation, distillation. While early forms of distillation existed, it was the brilliant Arab chemists of the Islamic Golden Age, such as Jabir ibn Hayyan, who perfected the process around the 8th century. They developed the alembic still, a device capable of separating components of a liquid through boiling and condensation. Their primary goal was not to create stronger drinks, but to isolate essences for perfumes, medicines, and alchemical experiments. They called the pure alcohol they produced alcohol, a term originally for a fine powder, but one that would eventually name the spirit itself. The knowledge of distillation slowly seeped into medieval Europe, primarily through monasteries and medical schools in places like Salerno, Italy. European monks and physicians, who were the custodians of classical and scientific knowledge, saw immense potential in this new substance. They called it aqua vitae, the water of life. They believed this potent, fiery liquid was a panacea, a miracle cure for a vast array of ailments. It was prescribed for everything from the plague and colic to paralysis and old age. The belief was that this concentrated spirit held the very essence of life, a powerful medicine that could preserve youth and ward off disease. Its use was almost exclusively medicinal at first. As the techniques of distillation became more widespread during the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance, aqua vitae began its journey from the apothecary's shelf to the common tavern. The technology was adapted to locally available fermented bases. In wine-producing regions like France and Spain, grapes were distilled to create brandy. In the grain-rich lands of Scotland and Ireland, where the climate was less suitable for viticulture, distillers used fermented barley mash. This gave rise to a distinctive spirit known in Gaelic as Uisce Beatha, which also translates to water of life. This term was later anglicized, becoming the word we know today as whiskey. This transition marked a profound shift in drinking cultures. The arrival of distilled spirits introduced a new level of potency that fermented beverages could never achieve. Brandy, gin, and whiskey became valuable commodities, easier to transport and less perishable than beer or wine. They played a significant role in exploration, trade, and even conflict, becoming a standard ration for soldiers and sailors. The water of life had transformed from a mystical medicine into a powerful and popular beverage. This set the stage for the dramatic expansion and industrialization of alcohol production in the centuries that followed, forever changing its social and economic impact. The Industrial Revolution of the 18th and 19th centuries transformed the world, and the alcohol industry was no exception. New technologies like the steam engine and the continuous still, patented by Aeneas Coffey in 1830, revolutionized production. These innovations made it possible to manufacture spirits on an unprecedented scale, making them cheaper and more widely available than ever before. What was once a craft product became a mass-produced commodity. This industrial efficiency fueled a dramatic increase in alcohol consumption, particularly of potent spirits like gin in England. This period, known as the gin craze, saw widespread social problems linked to excessive drinking, including public drunkenness, poverty, and crime. This surge in consumption and its visible social consequences sparked a powerful backlash. The temperance movement emerged, first as a call for moderation, but quickly evolving into a crusade for total abstinence. Led by religious groups, social reformers, and a growing number of women, the movement framed alcohol as the root of all social evils. They argued it destroyed families, fueled violence, and undermined the moral fabric of society. Using powerful propaganda, public rallies, and political lobbying, temperance advocates campaigned vigorously for legal controls on alcohol, painting it as a demon drink that needed to be eradicated for the good of the nation. The culmination of this moral reckoning was the era of prohibition. In the United States, the 18th Amendment to the Constitution, ratified in 1919, banned the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages. Other countries, including Finland and Norway, enacted similar laws. However, the attempt to legislate sobriety largely failed. Instead of eliminating drinking, prohibition drove it underground. It gave rise to a vast and violent black market controlled by organized crime figures like Al Capone. Illegal speakeasies replaced legal saloons, and the production of dangerous, unregulated moonshine flourished. The noble experiment ultimately proved to be a lesson in the limits of social engineering. The failure of prohibition led to its repeal in the United States in 1933 and a shift in government policy worldwide. Rather than outright bans, states moved toward a model of regulation and taxation. Laws were established to control who could produce, sell, and consume alcohol, with licensing systems, age restrictions, and restrictions on advertising becoming the norm. This new approach acknowledged that alcohol was a permanent fixture in society. The goal was no longer eradication but management, a system designed to balance the economic benefits of a legal alcohol industry with the public health and safety concerns associated with its consumption. This regulatory framework continues to shape our relationship with alcohol today. In the 21st century, alcohol occupies a complex and often contradictory position in global culture. It is a massive, multi-billion-dollar industry, with global brands marketing everything from craft beer and fine wine to artisanal spirits. Consumption patterns vary dramatically across the globe. While traditional strongholds of drinking like Europe have seen a slight decline, consumption is rising in developing nations in Asia and Latin America as incomes grow and Western lifestyles are adopted. This globalization of alcohol markets means that a person in Tokyo can enjoy a Scottish single malt, while a person in New York sips on Japanese sake. The world is more connected by its drinking habits than ever before. This globalized landscape is accompanied by an ever-growing body of scientific knowledge about alcohol's effects on human health. The conversation has moved beyond the simple dichotomy of moderation versus excess. We now understand the specific risks associated with alcohol consumption, including its links to various cancers, liver disease, cardiovascular problems, and mental health issues. Public health organizations worldwide issue guidelines aimed at minimizing these risks, and many countries mandate warning labels on alcoholic beverages. This increased awareness has fueled a significant cultural shift, challenging the long-held notion that alcohol is an essential component of social interaction and celebration. In response to these health concerns, new trends are emerging that reshape how people think about drinking. The sober curious movement is gaining momentum, particularly among younger generations. This trend encourages individuals to question their relationship with alcohol without necessarily committing to complete abstinence. It has fueled a booming market for high-quality, non-alcoholic beverages, from sophisticated alcohol-free beers and wines to complex mocktails that rival their spirited counterparts. This shift reflects a broader wellness trend, where consumers are more mindful about what they put into their bodies, seeking social connection without the negative health consequences of alcohol. Today, society continues to grapple with alcohol's dual identity. It remains a cherished part of cultural traditions, a catalyst for social bonding, and a source of pleasure for billions. At the same time, it is recognized as a significant public health challenge, responsible for millions of deaths annually and immense social costs. Governments worldwide navigate this tension through a delicate balance of regulation, taxation, and public education. The story of alcohol, from its accidental discovery in a forgotten fruit bowl to its status as a global commodity, is a reflection of our own evolving history. It is a story of human ingenuity, cultural expression, and the enduring quest to manage a substance that is both a celebrated elixir and a potent poison.